Yes, greetings world. Greetings my brothers and sisters to the world. Hope you're all alright out there. We're in some really sad times now. Yours truly, Crispy and Motep, here once again to serve my people around the world. And before I go, and I'd like to say thank you very much for your comments, your subscriptions, and your sharing of my videos, and not just my videos but my posts on Instagram, Facebook, and other forms of social media. Thank you so much. Brothers and sisters, it's a really difficult time for the black community, especially in America, but also around the world, because we're all grieving and feeling the pain and anguish from the murder of our brother, George Floyd, and all the other victims of been fatally killed and senselessly killed at the hands of racists and also at the hands of the racist police force. We all know what happened last week, Monday, the 25th of May, in Minneapolis, Minneapolis, in America there, after our brother lost his life after being squeezed on and squeezed in the neck by a police officer who has now been charged and arrested. We need the other three now to be charged. I thought all of them have been charged, but it's only really been the murderer, the killer, has been charged and arrested. We need all of them to be arrested, and they should all be thrown in jail and really made to rot in jail and be made to die in jail. But really what we need now is where we move from here, because it's all good on rioting. We've seen many campaigns over the years. I remember many years ago when Rodney King had passed away. When Rodney King had died, I should say, passed away, but he was murdered, wasn't he? And those marchers. But really we're back at square one, because they're not really listening to us. And so what's happening now, because black America was so tired, they're tired of being tired. Not just black America, I should say, but the whole of the black communities around the world are tired of being tired. And as a result, what's happening is people are now taking the matters into their own hands, and they're actually going on a rampage, and so they're rioting. And of course, when you look at it, it could be done more with a lot more diplomacy. But at the same time, you have to really look at the gist of it, and say, what is a man to do after we've protested peacefully, we've sung liberating songs, we've done so many things, we've vented our frustrations in other different ways, and they're not listening to us. And just as soon as you shut your eyes, another murder takes place, another murder on an innocent black person takes place. And this is culminated over a number of years. It's mounted, it's insurmountable. You just cannot really count the amount of deaths that we've lost. I pulled up a post on Instagram the other day of the amount of deaths that we've lost in police custody of black people over the last, say, 30 years, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. And so I feel the pain of the black community in America, and I'm sure many of you out there feel the pain and the anguish of the black community around the world, and saying that this has to stop and enough is enough. And I've said on another forum that, for me, how are you going to break white supremacy? It's difficult to break white supremacy, because white people are not going to relinquish and give up their throne, if you can call it a throne in inverted commas. They're not just going to give up their standing at the top. You're going to have to fight tooth and nail to bring it down. And I think it's only us, the people. The politicians won't bring it down, and even if they can, they won't. They're following protocol, they're following their heads. But as people, as black and brown people, and people of the underprivileged, we've got to really fight, and we've got to break that racist, corrupt system, white supremacy down. And in doing so, we've got to set up our own system. We've got to just break away from their system, which we're all under, and go and make up our own system. How do you do that? We're going to sit down and plan. I've got some ideas, but it's to come with other people, and we're going to sit down around the table. We're going to focus, we're going to plan, we're going to decide. But we need some great wise heads at this time, and it's going to take some money, and it's going to take some great brains to do it. Also, for this moment in time, I would say hit them in the pocket. Because the whole economy really depends on the black pound, because we're the biggest consumers. Everybody knows that. Wherever we are, other ethnic minorities come where we are in our communities and set up their shops. Now, in fact, black people are the biggest spenders, the biggest consumers. What we're going to do now, we're not talking about the other ethnic minorities. We're talking about the main corporate system of white supremacy. So what we've got to do, we've got to hit them hard in the pocket. We're going to not spend with them at all, not spend, even if we have to spend with the other ethnic minorities, and some of them don't like us, so be it, until we set up our own businesses and have our own shops, which at the moment is few and far between. And that's the only way to do it, is to neglect them, yeah, and hit them hard in the pocket. I heard a reggae star, I think Mr. Vegas, said something similar a few days ago, saying that the best way to hit them is to hit them in the pocket, hit them financially, hit them hard. And so they could feel, because money talks and bullshit walks, as the saying goes. And if they're seeing that we're not really spending our monies with them, we're no longer their consumers, it'll be a game changer overnight. There'll be an absolute game changer. The system is so corrupt, it's not even funny anymore. And as I said, the riots, what can I say about the riots in Minnesota? We were marching peacefully. I was told by a very, very reliable source that black people were rioting up in Minnesota peacefully, and then what happened? They rioting, it got hijacked. Should I say marching, a peaceful protest, and then so it got hijacked by outsiders. Well, who are these outsiders? We know who they are. People from the white community and other ethnic minorities who don't really have black people's best interests at heart. And so what they did, they hijacked our peaceful protests and our marching, and went around burning and looting all the businesses, or a lot of businesses up in Minnesota, and attacking police officers and police cars and so on. We were just going there marching in a diplomatic fashion. Mouth is getting a bit dry. I've been talking a lot today. Really, I've been doing a lot of talking on the phone and so on. And it's been one of the days that I think my tongue is going out my head. I just can't talk anymore. I've been posting. So excuse me if I'm butting a bit. Yes, brothers and sisters. So like I'm saying, and so yeah, we were marching peacefully up in Minnesota, and our marches got hijacked by outsiders. And then, so what is happening now in CNN News and Fox News and all the major news platforms around the world? They're having it out as that it's black people causing all of these riots. Not just only in Minnesota, but also there's one happening in Atlanta as well. And there's one happening in various parts of America. In actual fact, I heard in the news bulletin today on the radio that rioting is taking place in various parts of America, not just up in Minnesota and down in Atlanta, but all over America in various cities, because of the anguish, and there's a lot of white people and people of other ethnic minorities are siding with black people because of the seriousness of this and the consistency of it. Because as I said, and as you all know out there, we've seen since Rodney King, it's just escalated. It's been from one incident to another. It's like you can't go a year without reading in the news or seeing in the news or being there, bearing real life witness to another black person's life being taken away from them, and that's the seriousness of the matter. And the way the police force, I mean, do you see the way they look on the police officer's face when he was leaning on George Floyd's neck? He had no remorse whatsoever. He just kneeled on it, and it's like he was like it was nothing. It's crazy, and I must admit, it's been on my mind ever since the last 6 or 7 days. That's always been on my mind. It was that incident. I mean, I couldn't believe it was even happening. It was very similar to 9/11, but this is worse than 9/11, because this is downright murder. 9/11 was really bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it wasn't bad. That was really, really bad, and I felt for those people. But this was blatant murder. You could call it, I said to a friend of mine the other day, this is what you call a modern day lynching. This modern day lynching in broad daylight. Don't forget, this wasn't night time. This wasn't in a police cell or in an office building. This was actually on the streets where people are seeing this thing happen. And people are even saying to the police officer, can't you hear him? He's saying that he can't breathe. You're squeezing him. I heard that there was even blood coming from his nose. One of the pictures I saw, one of the captions I saw, it looked as though there was some I don't know if it was pus or something coming from his mouth, of course, a lack of oxygen to the head and to the brain can cause that. Because if you're without oxygen and air, you're dead. And this racist animal pig of an officer kneeling on, brother Floyd's neck, meaning that he couldn't breathe. There's an oxygen flowing through his body for him to sustain his life. I mean, it's a situation that is going to run and run. I'll keep talking about it. I'll keep posting about it, and I'll keep raising awareness about it as well. And it's just something that we've really got to be on our guards about, and then we're going to make the future better for the younger generations coming up. I've read many posts on Instagram about a lot of people, some celebrities, some non-celebrities, talking about making America better, making the world better for the young generation of blacks who are coming up. Because if we don't fix this situation now, if we don't change the system, like what I said a while ago, destroying it and building a new one, how are we going to do that? I don't know. Like I said, it's something we have to come around the table and sit and talk about. Anyway, saying that, at least if we don't make this, this is a game-changing moment. If we don't make the change now for the younger generations coming up, it's going to be a lot worse for them, because this racism is going to carry on and carry on. Before you know, most of the black population will be wiped out, and that sounds so dim and so blunt, but it's the truth, I said on a post on Facebook a few weeks ago that I personally believe that there's some countries that don't need politicians. I think the people power are the ones who are going to change this paradigm. They're going to change it. I think by force. It's going to be physical, but it also has to be mental, because you can't just be physically a war. You've got to think. You've got to sit down and think and exercise some diplomacy and come up with a strategic plan and a very effective strategy for change, not just in America. America's got the biggest problem, but also here in the UK, where racism is still rife on the streets. From time to time it gets very hot, and other times it's cool, but it's not as big as America, and it's not as blatant and as in your face as America, but it's still out there, and there was even a march over here I think it was in the West End, anti-racism march. I heard about it on the radio, and some people got arrested because they're venting. The vents were very strong, but that's the climate we find ourselves in now. People's emotions are running high because they're fed up. Black people especially, but there's other people from other races who are siding, but my heart and my focus is really with the black community, because we're the ones who are going through it. We're the ones who are feeling it, and we're the ones that it affects. You see, it affects our family, our friends, and ourselves, of course. Anyway, brothers and sisters, I'm going to keep it short today. You take care of yourselves. I'm going to come again with some more posts over the coming days. I've got a post about Bob Marley coming up, so look out for that one, and some other musical posts. And I do apologize, it's been a while since I've done any musical history documentations and videos, but because of the climate we're in right now, I don't think people's minds are really on that right now. You've got to post about the things that is out there and what people want to hear. And at the moment, George Floyd is in our minds because of the way he was his life was sensibly taken away from us and taken away from himself and his family above all. Nobody's seen anything like that for a very long time. This is Rodney King. Eric Garner was really bad. I saw another video of that today on YouTube, and the more I see it, when I saw it when it first occurred a few years ago, it was really bad, but when I saw it today, it looked even worse. And so I say to you out there, you take care of yourselves and each other. Keep fighting the fight. Keep doing what is right. Don't stay silent. Talk out, speak out, and don't do anything stupid, but exercise diplomacy and strategy in what you're doing, but also always make sure that what you're saying, what you're fighting for, is poignant and sends a strong message to around the world. So you take care of yourselves, brothers and sisters. Love you all very much. Before I forget, subscribe to our channel, Crispy and Motep. Like all our videos, we've done about 65, 66 videos so far, something like that. Check them all out, like them, share them in your social media network, and make your comments, leave your comments down below, and just keep listening to us. We're going to be here for much of the days, because at the moment we're not really working because of quarantine and because of COVID-19, and so we're going to be here. But when we get back to work, the videos might get a little bit more sporadic, but for the time being, we've got all the time in the world, so we're here to cater for you. So you take care. Peace and love. One love.